Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. Wuthering Coast is something we need to push, and this is what we're covering today in episode 29. As you progress further into the game where, to get the incremental benefit, just farming gear isn't enough. It is all about farming these mythic scales, the superior dragon scale to get your gear to mythic grade for all of your heroes. We do see them get sold a lot, but really what you want is you want to get 2 every single week plus a copy of the normal one. Pretty much most of the end game players are at this, and we have multiple teams that can hit well above 10 bill at this point. For me, I have 3 teams that do that. So most of the time we finish around 30 to 40 bill easily for most of us. But early game players, this is going to be, part of progression, right? And trying to hit that 16 bill is going to be really hard. So in today's video, I'll show on my server 108 account how to do this. But just to give you a point of reference, this is pretty much the buff. A lot of people picked up a Mural. You can enable this with just an E0 copy of Mural. You don't need an E3, by the way, because all you need to do is just grant stealth, and he can do that at exclusive 0. The moment he grants stealth for the rest of the entire battle, okay, it's not like a buff, it's the rest of the entire battle, they will get 75% attack and 87.5% defense, which is huge, right? And this also is very auto friendly. So you just need an E2 Lydia to go first, E0 Muron here, and your DMU Indra can go to town with Showing. It will work great in this setup, and I'll quickly show you. This is better than manualing, I would say, better than manualing using the regular Sega City boost and use Big Jack and Little Jack to help with that. So I have run times where I gone up to 13 bill, but it's pretty reliable and pretty consistent. But this is with Kraken stats. So let's head over to the other video. I'll just let the system run one more. Sometimes if it takes longer, the results are a little bit better. Okay, I have seen 13 bill, but you can see kind of, I think maybe Shawing died a little bit early or something, but I have seen this number well into the 3 bill mark. So anyways, let's go into the main video and the clips. So in the video, I was doing quite a bit of trying, and it's a good showcase of how Jack and Roll helps this team. Once I have E2 Lydia, I'll definitely replace Big Jack, but I think this gives you a good sense of how to use Big Jack, because many of you probably picked one up very recently. To compare between the two, right? We're going to lose Power of Bestow soon in 32 days. So if you watch this video sometime later, you still can try a similar strategy with Power of Sega City, and I think it will work really fine there. You can just replace Muron with Lydia, and if you have Jack and Roll, it will work. Just to showcase how this actually works, I'm gonna, you can see the defense here is at 76k. We're gonna give stealth to everyone, and you can see this is a massive boost to the defense stat, which is straight up off of that number, 87%. So that's a lot, right? It's of the initial stats that you start with. So it is a very big multiplier. It is not off of Indra's base stat, is of his initial stats. So now with the defense up, he's at 150k defense, which is huge, right? Put in that contrast, if I go over to I think this is on the Sega City buff, right? Again, and also remember, Xiaoring is also getting her attack boosted. So here we're doing this again. Yeah. So when you go there, you're not gonna get that boost. What you're gonna get is the skill damage boost, but we're not going to be able to do so well. So here you can see if we were to just auto it, okay, auto it will put most of the boosting on Xiaoying, and you can see the damage. Just go back there for a sec here. Pause so you can see it. It's only 3.6. I'm gonna show you how I manual this, and I got 3 extra bill out of it. All right, so we're going to the details here. So when we're actually running this, right? On my earlier run, this was not optimized, and you notice that my Jack and Roll is actually faster than DMU. You don't want that. What you want is your big jack to go right after. The first move you should make on your Murong is just stealth right away. You stealth right away, give everyone the massive buff, and from there, because he's broken at E3, if you don't have him at E3, then you probably need to repeatedly, well, I guess even, yeah, you do need to make sure that the shielding is on for the most part. But what I've noticed is I was able to survive from these big shields from Indra pretty well. And for most of the battles, I was actually just alternating between skill 3 and auto attack to maximize the damage I can get out of Murong. That's one part of it. Okay, the other part is this is really nice in Jack E1. So that's what I really like about Jack E1 as opposed to taking him onto E3, because on E1, I can actually transfer the spotlight on any hero without worrying about this going into a really long cooldown. At E3, because you can put the spotlight on multiple heroes, it gets super annoying because sometimes you lose that because you wanted to make another hero go immediately. Even though the damage boost is bigger, I really like E1. I don't think I'll be taking my big jack to E3, maybe E2 so I can do a joint attack, but definitely not to E3 on this account, at least not in the near future. Maybe at the very end when I really want the speed, I want E5 as opposed to E3, right? And speed is becoming less and less important in the meta. So you can see, like, I alternated between the different spotlighting, right? Sometimes I'm going to be spotlighting DMU. And for the most part, because DMU gives turn meter boost to your allies and Big Jack is not getting from it, it works out nearly perfect. So you want Big Jack to give to Indra right after the Indra, give it right after DMU. DMU moves, Big Jack immediately gives Indra a turn, and you can see how good the turn meter. That was a perfect example, right? Like you see how I basically got the full turn meter bar to take advantage of that. If Big Jack ends up being faster, I give the boost, Big Jack goes again, then I have nobody to give that boost to, right? So here you can see the turn meter is almost full for everybody else. There's no point for me to give it to DMU again. I will give it to DMU, however, if she is ready to do the boost right before the Indra. So it is super sweaty when you're manualing. I get it. Not everybody has the time to manual, but scoring 3 bill extra damage is definitely worth it. That's an entire tier up, doubling your rewards from 32 to 6400 million damage, right? So basically, you just want to time things every single turn so that your Indra gets the most amount of moves. But if Indra is ready to move, you can actually put the spotlight onto Xiaoying. If you somehow get a cooldown reduction by luck, you might even put that on Indra for a turn, and that does happen rarely, where you get like a double cooldown proc and you get to cast back to back. That's when you want to squeeze one in between for Indra. So here you can see for the most part survivability is not an issue. We get to at I think 18 turns and I was at 5.5, and this is when on a run, and this is still on a run where Big Jack was faster than DMU, and this is why I decided I can probably push harder if I did better speed tuning. So I just moved a couple of pieces from Jack and Roll over to Indra, to DMU, and I also made the note to make sure that I'm using a lot of basic attacks on Murong. And I'm going to skip forward to show, how did that run go. So here we're on turn 16, and you can see 2 turns in advance, I'm already kind of at the same damage level, pretty much there already. Now, I did screw up near the very end, and this is something to be careful of, because by this point, the boss is hitting very, very, very hard, right? We're at turn 17, we are over 500 mil ahead, and you basically always have an extra life from Jack and Roll, right? And this is where, I forgot the counterattack piece where I lost my first life. I was like, no big deal, no big deal. I forgot how hard, I was losing track of how hard the boss hits, right? And at some point, this is when you need to start throwing on those shields and pay attention to the turn meter in the last couple of turns. And here I went, a double turn, and here I was like, do I put it on Indra, right? Because the Indra also is not ready. The next one is going to be a big AoE. So I was like, okay, why don't I just do it on Indra then, right? And I was stupid, and I should have clicked on Indra there, but I did an auto attack and I got myself all defense down. So that affected my result. I should have Jack and rolled right into Indra because there was already 12 lightning stack there. So mistakes like this do cost you, right? That costed me a shield down, a full hit. I could have been at 7 bill for this run. And then the next falling turn, I wasn't paying attention to the boss, and all of a sudden I got one shot KO, and that really should be happening on turn 21, not turn 20. So that was a big miss near the end. So with this setup, I could have possibly got to 7 bill. But hopefully throughout this video, it kind of demonstrated how Jack and Roll and DMU works from a turn manipulation perspective. It is very critical to make sure that Big Jack actually follows shortly after DMU. You get way more turn cycling there. So move your gear around a little bit just for this. It's definitely worth it, getting that extra 3 bill damage out of that. So with that, hopefully that helps a little bit. So you can see, I'm just switching the gear back now. And yeah, so hopefully, this was a helpful video and helps newer player think about, how to push Wuthering Coast. What's important to note that, as you're pushing Wuthering Coast, right, it's important to just focus on one team at a time. So for example, you got your first team sorted out. Then you can look at, how do you sort out your second team? And a lot of time, you want to do, if you have Airto is a great team. And, this is the other team that's easily on the, on the 10 bill radar. And for most of these heroes, they're highly accessible with the exception of Airto, but a lot of us, hyper invest into our Airto. So this is also another early game friendly team. I just got near it on the 108 account. So over the weekend, I think I will be able to get to E3 Airto. And what I'm hoping is to be able to do maybe half the damage I'm seeing here. So maybe a 4 to 5 bill score. I don't have Marmelo yet, and I only have E0. So maybe to level set expectation, maybe a 3 bill score. But that's going to still put me at really close to the 9.6 mark, right? If you happen to have Jingle Bell, this is the third team that can also hit a very high number on direct damage. And what I leverage here is, you have the Des Bethany set up, and you could do this, right? This is one possible way of doing it. If you don't, a more expensive setup might be like here. I think this one we're doing 12 bill, I think. I didn't move gear around, so I have to check, what I can do here. But I have a feeling it's going to be around the 12 bill mark. There are a couple, because you have the nice speed up there, right? Nice speed. Okay, we did 16 bill on a single hit. So yeah, so this is a very solid team that you can run. You have the speed up over here. But if you have Blaze, whatnot, that also Blaze and maybe put Wukong in there with survivability, or even Lydia or whatnot, like you can do some crazy numbers with this. So hopefully, this gives inspiration to all of you, and pushing towards that 16 bill might be a very good goal, because this, again, is time gated content once a week, and it's going to help you really take your gear to the next level. I'll catch you in the next one. Gandalf out.